Hey everyone, we're going to use logic now to determine our output and make our programs that much more powerful. First, we're going to declare our variables, so we want number 1, and here's another trick. If they're the same variable type, you can do them in a row like this. Then we're going to want char operation, and then we're going to want to grab our input from our user.
Just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere.
Okay, now that we have our input, we can use logic to determine what our output is. So an if statement is pretty much just checking and comparing. So if we want our operation to do addition, we're going to want to set it equals to. So the difference between a single equals and a double equals, a single equals is an assignment. So when you're assigning, this to equal the letter H, you do it that way. So be careful when you're doing this to double check that you do a double equals. Double equals is a comparator. So it compares the right and the left side and returns true or false depending on if they're the same or not. So in this case, we want it to be plus for addition. Then we're going to use the curly brackets, and then now we've changed the scope. So everything above here is in the previous scope and can be used a level down. But say I declare a variable in here, hello, our scopes actually change, so when we come out, this variable won't exist anymore. So anyways, we're in our new scope, so we want to do cout, and we're going to add them together. So number 1, actually let's just do number, and we need an end line here too, since we didn't do it on the previous. But we're going to do number 1 and give ourselves the little brackets here. Number 2 equals, and then I'm going to do it this way. So this time we didn't make an output variable, because there's actually no need to do that, as we can do something like this, which this will just do the math for us beforehand. So that's the first one. Now we got to do it for the other 3. So in this case, you don't want to check every single time. We know that it's going to be one or the other, so you can use this else if, which pretty much just means that if it's not so it reads it in order. So if it's not addition, we'll check to see if it's subtraction. If it's not subtraction, we'll check to see if it's multiplication. If it's not multiplication, we'll check to see if it's divide. Now, if it is, say, multiplication, we just stop here and we ignore the next one, because there's no other reason. And then let's just do a little error checking. So if it's none of these, else cout wrong input. So what we're saying here is that the user actually inputted the wrong thing here. So we're just saying that you didn't do a plus minus subtract, or sorry, plus minus multiply or divide, which then caused issues for us, and we didn't know how to handle it. So just fixing up our output a little bit here, and then let's run it. So divide, multiply, and subtract. There we go. And then once we're done with this, return 0. So now in this case, we have variables, input, logic, and we're going to determine how to it's pretty much making a calculator at this point, a really basic calculator. So let's open up our terminal, cd into logic, and now we just do our g++ -o main.exe example. And I probably need to save it. That would help. Is it not in here? Of course it's not, because in my directory, it was not actually in the folder. So now that it's in the folder, let's try that again. Alright, there it is. Make sure you put your files in the right location, kids. Alright, so now that we have this compiled, we can do main.exe. Input first number, let's do 10. Input second number, let's do 2. And let's multiply them. So there we go. 10 times 2, 20. Run it again. 5, 7, and let's add them to get 12. Cool. So we have a basic calculator, and just for proof of concept, we'll do it some more with the other operations just to prove that they all work. Whoops. Probably run the program. 10, 2, and I want to divide this one. Get 5. Perfect. So now that we have logic, you should be able to do a little bit more with your programs, and you might be able to actually make a more in-depth calculator if you want with some more operations. So we'll see you next time.